All right, class, let's get going on our first boards from the second time period. Our topic is organization and reorganization of human societies from 600 BCE to 600 CE. Our essential question, how did the classical period begin to shape human history? So first we're going to talk about India, the Mauryan Empire from 321 BCE to 180 BCE. After Alex the Great, who we'll talk about later, the Macedonian who came in and took over a lot of the Middle East. After Alex the Great had left the Indian subcontinent in 330 BCE, the Mauryan Empire began to emerge in about 321 BCE. The empire spanned from the Indus to the Ganges River Valley. Trade fueled the empire, traded in silks, cotton, even elephants. Ashoka, who was a great Mauryan leader, converted to Buddhism, and during his rule preached nonviolence and tolerance. So Ashoka was a very warring, pretty harsh ruler. But what happened was he saw this bloodshed and turmoil and converted to Buddhism, and then he preached this throughout his empire. He put up rock and pillar edicts all around his empire, all around the kingdom, that still stand even to this day, some of them, that serve to spread Buddhism and his laws and order. All right. Now the Gupta dynasty, which came after, Chandragupta II, or Chandragupta the Great, was known as the Golden Age of India, peace and advancements in the arts. Hinduism was once advanced as the primary religion of India. So where Ashoka had ruled using Buddhism, Hinduism came back and became the predominant religion in the Indian subcontinent. Gupta dynasty collapsed under pressure of the White Huns from the north in about 550 CE. Now let's move a little farther east to the Qin dynasty, 221 to 209 BCE. That's pretty short. This was a short dynasty, but very organized. Shing Huangdi was their first emperor and ruler. He completed the Great Wall of China and brought together the feudal kingdoms. Shing Huangdi was a pretty hardcore ruler. He ruled using legalism and carried out, that was carried on after the Qin dynasty dissolved. The peasants revolted after Shing Huangdi died. Like I said, he was a pretty harsh ruler, but to get the Great Wall of China built and some other monumental activities going on during his short reign, it was pretty important for him to try to protect his kingdom and bring it all together. Now, the Han Dynasty of 200 BCE to about 460 CE, a large nomadic group that took over China from the north. That was the Han Dynasty. Trade thrived during the Han Dynasty with connections to Europe via the Silk Road. So when we hear about the Silk Road really started to make an impact during this time. The Silk Road would go on to survive even after the Han Dynasty ended, but this is the time in which it really began to thrive. During the Han Dynasty, civil service system was based on the teachings of Confucius, so they set up this whole civil service system. Exams, which made the government very efficient. If you were able to take the exam, prepare, and take the exam, then you could be a government agent. That sounds kind of crazy, nowadays, government agent. But a government agent, which was a highly prized position during the Han Dynasty. During this time, they invented paper, sundials, calendar, the rudder. And you're like, well, what's a rudder? On the back of a ship, so you could turn it left or right. And this dramatically increased trade, as well as the compass. And if you're out in the ocean, you need a compass. All right, some of the Mediterranean civilizations. So the Persian Empire from 500 BCE had a huge empire. It spanned from the Mediterranean. They tried to go all the way up into Greece, all the way into India. Such a large empire had local governors rule, and as long as they paid their taxes, they just let them be. So the Persians were more acceptance of different kinds of cultures and different societies as long as they paid their money. It greatly increased, since the Persian Empire was so big, it greatly increased communication with roads, common service projects throughout the kingdom. The Persian Empire was pretty large. Now, a few others from the Mediterranean area before, our next boards are going to be on the Greeks and the Romans. Before we, move on to those, a few others. The Lydians of the Mediterranean were the first to use coin money instead of the barter system that would change the world. When you talk about coins, everyone's got money. Now we just use, our plastic. But the coins, the Lydians were the first to really mint these and make them, used throughout their entire empire. The Phoenicians developed a simple 22-letter, I spelled letter wrong, alphabet that the Greeks would later adopt, and this is still something that we, even use today. I better fix that. I can't have 22-letter be spelled wrong. All right, the Hebrews. The Hebrews were a Judaic religion that had been established in Israel, coming from the Fertile Crescent in about 1000 BCE. The Hebrews endured numerous attacks from outsiders, but kept its religious identity throughout the years. And so they're worth mentioning because they're one of the 5 major religions in the world. So remember, history's no mystery. Take good notes.